This saucy braised noodle dish is so meaty in flavour, it's almost got a Marmite flavour to it. It's a Beijing saucy noodles or Zhajiangmian. Guys, Jeremy here from School of Wok, London's premier Asian cookery school. Welcome back to Wok Wednesdays. This week, it's Beijing Jajangmian. It's actually quite easy to make, and I'm going to show you. There's, a base of certain ingredients that you might need to find in an Asian supermarket, and I'll talk you through those as we go. So the ginger, roughly chopped. Spring onion, also roughly chopped to go along with the ginger. Done it in sort of 1/2 centimetre pieces. That's all I have to cut for base flavour, and then I've got this chunk of pork shoulder here with the fat still on, and actually that's really important. We need the fat for this dish. I'm going to take that fat now, and I'll start the wok off with the fat in there with the wok cold. We're using the lard to create the grease for this dish. So just rough dices of your pork fat are fine, and they can go, as I say, into or straight into your cold wok. With the rest of the pork shoulder, you just want to dice it in a similar sort of size. I don't like it too small. You want a nice bite on each piece of pork. So I start this off from cold, this wok, because I want to bring as much of that fat or that lard out from the skin or the fat of the pork as possible before I then start to layer the flavour into this dish. So once your pork sort of has released all its fat, then it'll start to go crispy and stop spitting at you. It's kind of nice not to have lard spitting in your face for too long, but also you can see the amount of fat that's come out of the pork skin. In fact, so much has come out, I'm pretty sure I don't need all of that to make this braised pork dish. Just remove the crispy fat pieces. I mean, you could throw them away, but they look pretty tasty to me, so I'm going to use those to top the dish. Why not? And then I'm going to take any excess lard that I don't want to sort of cook with out, and I can use that as I go for this dish or for other cooking too. So now the fat is out, we're going to flavour or start to layer flavour into that fat on this sort of cast iron thick wok. Got some cinnamon stick, star anise, fennel seeds and bay leaf. 4 out of the 5 key components to Chinese 5-spice. Low heat right now because I don't want those spices to burn. Then just push those to the back after about 30 seconds, allowing space for my ginger and spring onion. Still on a low heat. I like this nice and controlled wok cooking for once. Smells incredible. I love the smell of fennel seeds hitting a hot oil. I'm gonna whack the heat up now to a sort of medium to high heat. Push all my spices to the back so that there's space for the rest of my pork. And then on a medium to high heat, your pork goes in. I'm going to spread that pork out well into the wok, and then bring your spices roughly over the top so that they don't burn. Now you want to seal that pork round on a high heat. So turning the heat up 1 to 2 minutes on each side. So I'm trying to get a good amount of color around each chunk of pork before I start to sort of add any more flavor into this. I'm almost there with the color. And so whilst that's happening, I'll talk you through the sauces. And this is really, like, there are very few ingredients in this. I've got 2 types of soybean paste. The first one is just a soybean paste, so salted soybean. And you can see it's got this sort of almost coarse soybean grain to it. About 1.5 tablespoons of the salty soybean paste goes into this. The second soybean paste is what we call sweet sauce, Team Jajangmyeon Cantonese. About 3 tablespoons of sweet sauce, which is sweetened soybean paste, which tends to be, as you can see, a lot smoother than the soybean paste. 2 teaspoons of soft brown sugar, and then give that a mix, and you'll get this instant deep dark brown color around the pork, and it'll start to caramelize quite quickly because they're quite thick sauces. 1.5 tablespoons of light soy sauce, and that'll just thin it out ever so slightly and add some saltiness. Still on a high heat here, but I've got some chicken stock nearby me, and I'm just going to top this up now with chicken stock to a point where all of that pork is covered in liquid. Give that a good stir around. Still at this point on a high heat, so that you can lift any flavor off the bottom of the wok. Once it's vigorously boiling, turn the heat down to medium-low heat. Let it simmer, most probably for about 15 to 20 minutes at least, if not half an hour. What you're trying to do is reduce that sauce right down until it becomes really nice and caramelized again, while still being saucy enough to then pour over my noodles. Really, you can use whatever type of wheat noodle you like for this. These are dried, handmade noodles, and I'm just going to boil them for about 2 to 3 minutes. Meanwhile, my sauce and the pork is looking absolutely delicious, starting to caramelize nicely now. And that's had about 20 minutes or so. So the noodles have had about 3 to 4 minutes. And you can see the caramelization of that soybean paste sauce. Look at that. Just wonderfully simple to make. And it's quite a quick braise, this. 20 to 30 minutes. A few of these crispy pieces that help to make our lard. Some spring onion. My Beijing Jajangmyeon saucy noodles. It's important with a dish like this to give it a good sort of mix through. All that sauce will wrap around the noodles. And so much flavor in that soybean sauce, but then also with the added whole spices, from that 5-spice mix. Oh, just delicious. Guys, if you like this recipe, you want to learn more, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ding, hit that notification bell. And so many more noodle dishes on the channel too.